Knowledge is Power podcast on a Sunday evening. Thank you, everybody, for joining us for another Sunday evening segment of Knowledge is Power podcast live, which is a platform to share important information by educating the Southeast Texas African American communities with valuable info on health, education, local politics, business, personal finances, and just general information to keep our community informed. Along with my co-host, LaDonna Sherwood. Hello, Donna.
Hello, guys. How are you? I'm looking forward
All right. Now,
to tonight's
yeah,
show.
okay. Pick your mic up a little bit. I can't hear you that well. Pick your mic up a little bit. All right, we're there. And tonight, folks, we've got some guests here tonight. And my special guest, special guest is Mr. Willie K. Knighton from the Kjet radio station back from the 50s and the 60s and the 70s. Did you make it to the 80s? A little bit. But anyway, we're going to join with Willie here in a minute. And also I have Danny Linton. Danny Linton is the founder of We Shopped at Alford Supermarket and listened to KJ Soul radio station back in the day as well. And I have, hey Danny. Everybody say hello.
Hello.
Danny is originally from Port Arthur, Texas, and now a resident of Washington, D.C., the chocolate city.
We're a happy city today.
Yeah, the chocolate city. Yeah, we're all happy today.
Yeah.
We had a relief.
Finally get some rest because your nerves was on edge. Now you better, right?
I'm a whole lot better now.
Yeah, we're all better.
We're all better. We had a huge laxative. Yeah. So now and I have also the historian of Beaumont, Texas, Mr. Lynn Matthew Simon. Hello, Lynn.
Hello there. How's it going?
All right. Now Lynn been around since Moses.
Yeah.
And and he is a historian here in Beaumont. He's got photos and history. He's a walking history book of Beaumont, Texas. But tonight we're going to share and to have a tribute to my cousin. Back in the day, everybody when we
Tony, before you move on, Tony.
I didn't hear. Yes, sir.
Tony, before you move on, can I say something?
I'm coming to you right now. Yeah, I'm coming to you right now.
Okay, I want to. Okay.
Okay, I'm waiting.
Okay, I just wanted to make mention that Lynn Simon, dad, is one of the reasons for the season. His name was Leo Simon. He was a jock with old KJet. It was called KBMT, KXBT, and Beaumont before KJet. So he's got a lot of history with the radio business. Just wanted to make that little comment there.
And anyway, I'm going to come back to you right now because I'm about to introduce you to the audience to back in the day of KJet radio. I woke up in the morning listening to Willie Knighton, so you know how old he is. Back then, he was a teenage wonder.
I'm still a teenager.
Yeah. But Willie started at KJet radio station back in the day when it was on Calder Street, and he was back. He was a very young man at that time, and he's one of the original jocks back in the day. That's what we was called DJs and disc jockeys. Nowadays they call us announcers, but back in the day where they started, he was one of the originals back there. Was Bar Brown back there with you, right? You was with Bar, right?
Boy Brown, yes. He's the reason I got into radio because he had a Saturday afternoon show I was inspired with, got involved with, called Teenagers at the Turntable. Yes.
Right. And see, a lot of folks.
1950. Go ahead. It was 1950, 54.
Okay. Now, again, we back in the day, Willie started radio back in the day, and a lot of folks, when I started back in the day, a lot of folks didn't know that we was relatives. But he didn't treat me like a relative. Yeah. Oh, he was hard. Ooh, he was hard on me. Ooh, Lord. He stayed on me like, oh man. He didn't say too much, but what he did say, it was enough.
May I ask why I stayed on you?
I was wide open.
Because there you go. That's why I stayed on you. Exactly.
And also, a lot of folks didn't know that my father-in-law also worked with Willie back in the beginning. And he was Cal Weaver, Big Daddy Cal Weaver. So, there's a lot of connections there. It goes back and forth. We got to dissect it. They find the family tree. But Willie, tell the audience now, since we on here with you and we're giving you a tribute to you, and I'm waiting on a few more people to come in, a few more guests to come in and join us, and they're running a little late, I guess. But tell us how it was back in the day in radio when you first started.
When I first started, am I loud enough? You have enough volume there? Can you hear me?
Fine. Yeah, you're fine. You're excellent.
Okay. Tony, what it was is that Boy Brown was one of the original jocks, along with Sugarthorpe Miller and Whitney Nelson. They were the original KJet jocks back in the year 1954. Boy Brown initiated a thing called Teenagers at the Turntable on Saturday afternoon from 2 to 5. And I was interested, no, it was 2 to 4. And I was interested in that. And Boy changed me. Boy was the guy that would change your ability and your everything. He told me, hey, you'll never be a disc jockey. And so my point was to prove Boy Brown wrong. And that's when I got into it. And from that point, 1953, 54 to 78, it's history. I was there until 1978.
So what year did you all, what year did we move on to Finette Road? Was it in 64?
There was 2 moves to Finette Road. We moved from Caldwell 7th in 1962, I think it was, in a wood framed house. And business was so good and demand for black radio was so big till they built a brick building. And that was in 1964 or 65 is when the new KJ building went up.
So how many years that you spent with before then? Now people say when we got in the radio, they say, well, did you go to school for that?
No, I was self-taught.
Pop right on in there. It was self-learned,
Yeah. I was self-taught.
I know. And that's the way I were. I was self-taught, I didn't get no help from you because you were too hard on me.
Well, I didn't help you, Tony. I kept you out of trouble and everything. Don't start me to talking now. Get the book out on you.
You saved my life, son.
Yeah. I know I did.
Yeah. So, she's popping in and out of here. There we go. Okay. Now I'm gonna come right back. Okay, go ahead. I'm sorry.
Okay.
Okay.
I was just gonna say, you wait.
Go ahead.
Are you waiting on me?
No,
I was just gonna say, can you guys see me and hear me? Because my machine earlier was cutting me off, and I couldn't. It was like I couldn't interact. But go ahead. Can you hear me now?
Yes, I can hear you and see you. We're good.
Okay.
We're good. I'm gonna go to now to Danny Linton. Danny is one of the founder of We Shopped at ALFORD'S supermarket and listen to KJet Soul Radio, and I know you did because we was and Willie, y'all was the only only show in town back then. We was the only show in town. So tell us how did that get started?
You are correct, Tony. We were the baddest things in town too.
That's it, baby. You didn't listen to nobody but 1380. So
KJET 1380. KJET. We still sing that song, right, Danny?
Soul Radio.
Ian's familiar with it also, man.
And you know what? What's so funny? I still remember the phone numbers at the radio station. I mean, every last line we had, we had 842-2210, 2211, 2214, 2213, 2014. What's the Port Arthur number, Willie?
Port Arthur was I'm not familiar with Port Arthur. That was a remote video. It was 9 something. I do remember.
No, it was 727-14-2017. Hey,
yeah, sure was.
And there was one. Yeah. Now there was one telephone line we had. Nobody knew about it.
That was Tom Gibson's line, the red phone. That's who that was. That's the one you didn't even want to know about, Tony, because that was bad news from that dude, man.
So Daddy, tell us how you got started. How did that get started with we shopped at ALFORD'S supermarket?
Yeah.
Listen to KJ Radio.
So what happened was that this is a Facebook-based group that has grown from initially we were 14, and we started with 14 folks back in the spring of 2016, and have grown to just almost 3,000 people. Basically, this started as a tribute in some way to my late mother, who was our family historian, and she passed down this oral history. And she was always talking about things from the past, and what she did and where she'd been. She had a collection of photos. After she passed, she worked in a photographer studio. Actually, it was Hodges' studio in Port Arthur in the early 1950s. So she had this wealth of knowledge about and sense of history. And she was just talking all the time. I wasn't even aware that I was absorbing this or listening to what she was saying until years later, when I too developed this sort of like love of family and history and Port Arthur stories. So how it really started was when my mom passed in 1990. She had hundreds of black and white and color photos that she had taken, that she collected from other family members, from her siblings who had passed. I just wanted to start scanning those photos, uploading them to a website, and then hopefully have other folks who were still in Port Arthur, who also had a sense of history, who might know some of these individuals. And so that's how we kind of rolled off with 14 family members and friends back in the spring of 2016. However, the focus, and I just happened to come up with the name for this group in one afternoon, thinking, okay, sort of like what were the neighborhood cornerstones for me, our institutions were really ALFORD'S Supermarket on West Port Arthur Road. And I was one of those kids. When I was in elementary school, I would listen to the Kjet countdown, and I would sit there with my pad, my Big Chief pad, and I would write the names of the songs and the artists, and I kept that list in numerical order. So I was always a music nerd. I didn't want to go to anybody's house if they didn't have a record player. I needed to have music, and music is still a big part of my life. So it really was a shout out to KJET Radio and the other, like I said, institution of ALFORD'S Supermarket. I just put this together in 5 minutes, never expecting that the group would grow in the way that it has, and that folks who were so desperate for information and connections to the past, who had lost so much through a series of hurricanes over the years, all their photos, their yearbooks, sort of like, and our elders were gone. So this has been a sort of, I would call it a repository for keeping connected. And that's what we do. This group is basically my addiction. So I am on it almost 24/7. I'm constantly searching for yearbook photos, other stories. And actually, I'm just administering the group. I want other folks to come in and tell their stories and just keep it going. Just last week, we were sharing recipes for Kush. So that's just how the group goes.
Yes.
So it has a life of its own. And in a way, it's the equivalent of the living room of the 50s and 60s. And my mother used to say everyone used to come to our house in the 50s to watch the television because there was only one TV. Everybody would come over. So I kind of feel that in a way that this is the 21st century equivalent of that. I'm just giving you a living room and you come on in and we listen to music and we keep a conversation going.
Yeah.
Now let me ask you about the recipe for Kush. How did y'all come out? What did y'all fare with on that?
I can share it with you.
Look, I need to know. Inquiring minds need to know about that.
I will make sure you get that, okay? Because
I don't think they know much about Kush.
I was just going to say, you took it all the way back to the old school with that one. That's something we talk about here. And I was actually just recently polling the audience with my stepdad and my mom. I said, y'all tell me something about Kjet because, of course, I'm only 38 years old. And they were like, baby, it's the only station that you ever listened to. That was like the soundtrack of your life. So I'm excited to be on with you guys.
That's right. Hey, Willie, Willie and I, we made many babies.
Okay, y'all changed the trajectory of history, huh?
Well, see now, Mr. Lynn.
Do you mind if I add on to that?
Yeah, go ahead.
Willie is one of the last of the. He is a major part of our history in the whole Golden Triangle. He's my neighbor. He lives about a block and a half from me. I would say I've been knowing him since he's a little boy, but he's a little bit older than me. He's very important to this Beaumont Golden Triangle area. He's a grad of Charlton Paulett High School, I believe 1956, right? Willie?
That's correct.
Okay, and
yes.
I'm a 61 Charlton Paulett graduate. The first time I encountered him, Willie was doing a teenage broadcast. He became a teenage idol in the Golden Triangle. Willie is a person that all of the kids, Beaumont, Port Arthur, Silsby, Coombs, all these little areas that surrounded Beaumont, everybody knew Willie. All of the musicians in town. I played with a group when I was a teenager, Curly Mays. Now, Willie knows about Curly Mays. Curly Mays had one of the most popular bands in the area. We played all the joints. So we played the Raven, the Downbeat, Cheney's Auditorium. We played in the places in Silsby, all over the area. And Willie was really a part of us in a way, because every time there was something going on, Willie was in the presence of all of the musicians that came to town. We had people like, I remember, Ivory Joe Hunter and Big Joe Turner, and B.B. King, Bobby Bland. All of these guys would show up at the Club Raven or at Cheney's Auditorium, and guess who was in the presence? Willie was there. And the contact with these musicians and people in the area, Willie was really important, because when it comes to advertising, radio stations are very important to keep people in contact with what's happening in the community, and also as a sales point for the products and merchandise that the sponsors want to sponsor. So this guy had a chance to know and talk to all of the people who were in the trade. This guy has a record collection that you wouldn't believe, and I believe he knows every song in the world.
Mr. Willie, if I could chime in, I'd like to ask you guys, how far did Kjet reach as far as broadband? Where did the what were the areas that you covered? Tell me a little bit about how far you reached.
We had a 100-mile radius. We'd reach into Houston. Matter of fact, we would
Okay.
touch with KYOK and KCOH. We'd reach as far as Lafayette, and we covered a 100-mile radius. We were non-directional for 100 miles. In the Gulf, we went all over the Gulf because the water would carry the signal.
Back in
Oh, that's
'68,
awesome.
yeah, back in '68, the station acquired Quick 107.7, and it had 150 miles radius, and it covered Lake Charles, north of us, or deep into Houston, because at that time Houston only had AM stations. That was a KCOH and KYOK. So we had a broad audience, and Willie we're part of the foundation of that. And again, like I said, I used to ride my bicycle when as a kid up Finette Road just to watch them work through the window until they finally invited me in. But Willie, that was the word.
Culturally, that's huge.
Yeah,
That's
once they
huge.
invited me in, I was in the
To
house.
reach
It was all over. Yeah. So
150-mile radius is huge.
right, but Mr. Simon, back in that time, and really, and back in those days, y'all are a lot older than I am. I didn't pop on the real scene until the early 70s, well, 69, 70. But so I remember the days that you will have shows at the Raven, and with Boo Buddy was bring those shows, had those shows in town, and how you guys would bring those artists from Motown and Stack and my guy out of Houston, Roby. Y'all used to bring those artists through the station at night and interview, and I was just like a baby at a candy store, and it was just so much exciting going on there because again, we was the only show in town.
I remember when my dad had his radio program. He was right out of the service, and he did that type of thing in the service. He came to Beaumont. I believe it was KTRM or KPBX. That might have been the call letters of the station. They gave us,
PBX,
our people, 15 minutes to be on the radio station a day. Now, Willie might recall this, and it was from 11:45 to 12 o'clock. I still have recordings of my dad's radio programs, and what he would do, he would pre-record his music on his reel-to-reel tape recorder, and he would pause and stop and bring in the advertisement in between it. But I followed my dad from places he would go, like I remember Ruth Brown came to Beaumont, and she was at the club. You might not know of Ruth Brown, Miss Sherwood, but during that time she was very popular. She came to Beaumont, and she was at Cheney's Auditorium, and my dad went there and did an interview, and he did an interview with all the guys in the band and Ruth Brown. And the next night he played the recording on his reel-to-reel tape recorder on his program, which kept the community kind of informed with what was taking place, and it was also advertising for Cheney's Auditorium. And these basically were the only places that we could go for entertainment. We had our own total community as far as music and restaurants and entertainment. We had to make our own, and I thought we did a pretty good job of it. And back during that time, things were very restricted for us. Now, later on, Kjet came into being, and when Kjet came, that was really a good thing. I remember Cal Weaver and Willie, let me ask you something. Whitney Nelson, how long was he apart? I remember they moved before Kjet was on Pine Street at Pine and Wise at the Whitney Hotel. the radio station broadcast. That was a radio station broadcasting from that location. You remember that, Willie?
That was KPBX, the same one your father was on.
Oh, okay, yeah. And that was before KJet's building and KJet was put into service there. So the radio history of Beaumont, we're trying to get all of this together so that we can be accurate about what took place prior to KJet, and so that our community will never forget all of the good things that came out of KJet Radio and out of the personalities at KJet Radio. It was good for me when I was a teenager, and like I say, this Mr. Knighton, man, I tell you what, he really had a following. We would have teenage dances. That's what we called, and that was a place across from Charlton Pollard. It became a nursery school. Willie, what was the name of that place? Because you'd be there at least once a week, and there was a teenage dance there, man, and all the kids from all over the pouch and everywhere would pour into the place for his program. What was the name of that place, Will?
Knights of Peter Claver.
Yeah, man, I tell you, yeah.
The Knights of Peter Claver Hall.
Yeah, man, I tell you what, he was there. He was there all the time.
Yeah, he was there almost damn 25 years.
Yeah,
because when they built when they built the new Knights of Peter Claver Hall down on Carroll Street,
right?
He was playing the dance when we was dancing.
Right.
Yeah, I'm telling you, he been a teenager for 55, 60 years.
Hey, and we see him in Port Arthur sometime. There was a place in Port Arthur called Westside Auditorium. You remember that? Man,
sure,
the Westside Auditorium was the place to go. And Bluches was a nice little jazz club that they had in Port Arthur. You remember Bluches? We had a lot of nice, real neat businesses and a lot of nice things that we created ourselves to do. And I'd like to see that kind of thing happen again, because I've seen a lot of creativity and good come from our entertainers and our people, and our radio personalities are the ones that make it happen by kind of directing the popular music that we listen to and giving the people a chance to interact and work back and forth with the radio personalities, which is real good. I've always liked the way that they respond to the community and they take the community's interests and spread it and let everybody be involved in it.
But back in those days, we had black businesses.
We did.
We had black businesses, and the black businesses needed the radio station, and the radio station needed black business.
That's right.
Black businesses needed to advertise their business, and we needed to advertise the money.
That is right.
But not only that, Willie, you can tell also the audience that not only were we were disc jockeys, and of course, I like everybody always know that you were one of the original and the last living jock from KJet radio station. But tell them how you also were civil rights activists.
I've always been loyal to the civil rights movement. Always have been and always will be. Because that is the organization that has molded our way, showed us which way we need to go. And I've always kept my hands in the civil rights movement. I've always supported them. And I think everyone has rights, and I think we should support our organizations irrespective of how people feel about us. Let me share something else with you guys, Tony. I don't know how many of you are old enough to know about the Chitlin Circuit. Lynn may know about the Chitlin Circuit.
Oh, I know.
I'm not sure about Lyndon.
Yeah, that's
right.
You what now?
Yeah, I know.
You remember the Chitlin Circuit?
Oh yeah, I know the Chitlin Circuit. Yeah,
That's and the Beaumont Enterprise that I did many years ago about the Chitlin Circuit. What the Chitlin Circuit is that when black artists would come to town, They could not stay in Holiday Inn, Holiday Inn, and places like that. They had to stay at Whitney Nelson Hotel, Riviera, and places, boarding houses, because it was integrated, it was segregated.
That's right.
So it's called the Chitlin Circuit. You can find yes, you can find anything about the Chitlin Circuit. Read up on it. It'll give you a lot of insight on black music back in the day, as opposed to now.
Right, they used to have to travel through the back roads to us, and to get to us. But they didn't. They couldn't stay at the hotel. They couldn't stay at no Hilton or Marriott. They had to stay in.
You better not even go there, man.
Right, you better not go there.
There's a current movie called The Green Book. You've heard of the movie The Green Book?
Yeah.
And on PBS recently, a similar type thing. It's Driving While Black.
Right.
And about our own businesses we had to depend on for food and places to stay because we could not stay elsewhere.
Right.
And that's basically what Willie and the Chitlin Circuit was. The owners of the clubs and the restaurants, these guys, like, they had a network.
Right.
And the entertainers, the gigs was set up for them to appear at a certain time. Guys come to town, they put out their big posters on the side of the telephone poles. And I've seen the Club Raven with so many people in it you couldn't get in it. Willie, you've seen the same thing, haven't you?
Well, see, and a lot of those
it's like when the Charlton Pollard Hebert football game took place back then, you couldn't get in the stadium. No parking on the lot.
That's right.
So many people.
And then a lot of those artists had to stay with us, you know. They had nowhere to stay. So then they wonder, well, how did you know those people? That's how we knew them.
They stayed with them.
Yeah, Marvin Gaye, Ike and Tina Turner, and all those people. They didn't have nowhere to go. King and Bobby Bland and Joe Simon and all those people. I'm gonna call the names. They didn't have nowhere to stay, so they had to stay with us in our boarding houses. If the boarding house had too many. You know, so that's
they
how
were
we
still black.
Right, we were black. So let's go here. That's the Simon. Let's go back.
One other thing. Speaking of Tina Turner, Tina Turner comes to town. You know where Paillet's place was over on Washington Boulevard?
Yeah, right.
Well, my wife lived next door there, and they used to lodge over at that hotel. What was the name of that thing? Hotel?
Just Fred's.
Fred Paillet owned the hotel, and they would stay next door to my wife. So she had a chance to talk to Tina Turner and see those folks check in and check out during that time, right on Washington Boulevard.
Right.
Yeah.
Let's switch on.
Then, with that being said,
what's that,
Tony? With that being said, by Tina Turner, can you hear me? The last time Tina Turner came through Beaumont and Port Arthur, myself, along with Bruce out of Elvesta, promoted Tina Turner, and that was the last time she did the tour in the Golden Triangle area. Right. I had the pleasure of being one of the promoters for that. We promoted her in Port Arthur, and then we took her to Louisiana to called the Chicken Guy in Louisiana. Can't think of his name now, but he has a chicken franchise. But anyway, we promoted Tina and Ike and Tina Turner on that tour. I met every artist that you could possibly think of. Figgy Morgan, Tina Turner, Ruth Brown. I mean, there's not a one. Fat Ross, Hank Ballard, Midnighters. I mean, just go back. Just go way, way back. There's very few that I do not know, have not.
Okay, he broke breaking up there. Let's see here. He's buffing. He's buffing. He's buffed. There you go. He's there.
I played a gig at the Raven. It was a cold December night, and Sam Cooke was appearing at the Raven. And he took a break. We were the band that came on before Sam Cooke came on with Curly Mays back during that time. And at intermission, we'd go outside to get a little fresh air and hang around, you know. And Sam came out and he was hanging out with us. He said, "Man, look, what is there to do in this town?" Well, I say, "Sam, not very much. You could go over to Cheney's Auditorium. They had a band playing over there. You might want to go see what those guys are doing." Sam said, "Oh, it's cold down here. I'm ready to go." We had all kinds of Dinah Washington. Miss Sherwood, you know about Dinah Washington?
No, sir, I don't.
Oh, golly, she was absolutely great.
And
Willie, you know about Dinah Washington.
And beautiful.
Mr. Renfro, you know about Dinah Washington?
Yes, sir. I was raised on Dinah Washington.
Dinah Washington was at the Raven, and Mr. Bluebuddy. I'm there with the band. I was playing with Earl Broussard's band. We were the house band at that time. Dinah came in and she was going to do a performance, and the mics were not set up like they should be. And she's used to top quality stuff. Man, Dinah Washington jumped all over Blue Buddy, and Blue Buddy did not know what to do. But somehow, I don't know how in the world it happened, the mic system worked for Dinah Washington. They didn't have mic checks like they did in mixing boards and all of that stuff. They had old tube type stuff with
Tony,
the
you're gonna
crudest
have to
microphones
introduce
you
me
ever
to some
seen
of
in the
this
world.
music.
You remember them things, Willie? You're talking about some crude microphones.
Sure, I remember that.
Yeah. We didn't have no mic check back then. But anyway, let's go back to Alfred Supermarket guys who listen to KJ Soul Radio. We've got now Glenn Dennis. Hello, Glenn.
How's everybody doing?
All right.
Hello, Mr. Dennis.
What's up, Dave?
Now, Glenn, did you listen to KJ Radio back in the day?
Of course I did, man. Look, you talking to me?
I'm talking about Glenn. I'm down at the bottom of this. Yeah, Glenn Dennis.
I'm spoiled like everybody else.
Willie, this is crazy. This Willie always get on me, but Willie is the reason why radio was a lot of fun. Okay, and Willie had a family. I was probably the youngest one. I was. Their kids was my age, so it was fun to me, and to them that was a way of life. There was a living. They had to make a living. But I worked at night, and when there was nobody there but me, and Willie worked during the day when there was all the administrators there, the salespeople there, the newscast there, and the general manager there. So everybody had to be pretty much straight. But at night, it was a party.
Was on the ratchet list.
It was a party at the studio, but Willie
you were creating a ratchet list,
right? But Willie never came by late with nobody. He didn't play that. He was straight down the middle. He didn't cut no corners. He knew what was going on, which I thought he didn't, but he knew what was going on. I would have a party there every night in the studio. I had people all over the place, but we had fun. And Bar Brown would bring at night. He was a night person, and he would go house to house. The bar would drink gasoline if he could. And he would go house to house, everywhere, all over the place. And he would bring everybody back, and it'd become another party. So,
does he have a sister named Bonnie? Is his sister named Bonnie Brown?
That's his daughter.
That's his daughter. Okay.
Yes. So, but anyway, Willie would have a dance at KJet in Studio A. It was called Solarama. Do you guys remember that over there in Port Arthur? Y'all was still around then?
Actually, someone mentioned Solarama in our group just earlier today in reference to Willie K, and she attended. So I remember hearing of it, more of my sister's generation. Glenn may know more about it, but that was just sort of nice to read about that, because people were going back into their memory bank and thinking how they associated Mr. Brown, Mr. Knighton rather, with KJet.
Well, Willie, tell them about the Studio A. Studio A was a studio we had in the back of the building. Not really in the back, of the side, but it was a joint in the building. It was a nice place because you got to remember this, back then, the radio station was pretty new. So we was fresh, and we had all the equipment. So I would have to work the board, which is the main studio where we broadcast out of, while Willie would be in the back at the Solarama. He had so many. He had them packed from the Port Arthur, Orange, Beaumont. He had them all in there. We call it. What would you call? Willie started the name Orange, the Fruit City. And he would have that place so packed, and we would have the little midget named Mickey. You remember that Mickey? Willie?
all
The
the
little picture for
without
Mickey,
looking
the cupcake man. No, I'm not hearing you. You're not saying that. I can't hear you.
It's messed up. I think we're all having a bad connection.
You got a good connection. Willie, try it again. I can't hear you. But anyway,
what was
Willie,
the name now?
Willie, what is it? Mickey with the rainbow bread, wholesome bread with the cupcakes.
Oh yeah, I remember all those characters. Yeah, I remember them. Yeah.
and what's the name of the
Can you hear me, Tony?
Yeah, I can hear you real well now. Yes. Tell me about the Solarama when we used to have
Let's
that
see if we can
Solarama.
turn it. Might need to turn the mic a little bit. Yeah. Yes. Yeah. Tony, it was Zales Jewelers. It was Zales Jewelers.
Yeah, it was Zales Jewelry.
Zales Jewelers sponsored Solarama Sunday afternoons from 2 to 5 with a live teenage disc jockey dance on the radio. We did dedications. We played the music and let the teens and cohabitate with us on the radio and do dedications and all. It was a fun thing from 2 to 5 every Sunday. And we'd have them packed out there. They'd get a crowd in there. They'd keep them out. If some would leave, they'd let others in. But it was Zales Jewelers was a sponsor, and they would sponsor Pepsi Cola, would sponsor the soft drink sometime. Yeah. Joan Crawford came down, and we opened the Pepsi Cola plant on 69 back in the day. That was your father-in-law. He was the one that did all of that with Joan Crawford. Big Daddy Cal, he was the PR man. That was so much about Kjet and what went on. I mean, it just took a lifetime almost to tell it. And you're right. You get to talking about one and then branch off in another. But it was, let me say this, Kjet in 54 it started. We were community organized, community oriented, because we had church every week, community calendar. We dealt with all the black things in the city. But Kjet back then was what you.
He went away. He went away.
You may have lost him.
He went away. Yeah.
I believe his router's a little bit slow.
Yeah, I think so, because it's not picking up the speed that we are on. But anyway, Willie, when he comes back, I want to get him to tell you guys how Willie bought my first vehicle. I mean, I was 15 years old. I didn't even have a driver's license.
Right.
And Willie was the head of the union of the broadcasting here in Texas. Yeah, you didn't know that. And we had this agreement with pay, and it didn't matter to me because whatever they were paying me, I was cool with it. You know, I didn't know. I made extra money. See, Bob Brown actually would have taught me how to do all this other outside stuff. You know, I would take those not for sale records and go to the projects and sell them all. I was making more money on the outside than that radio station. We got you again. There we go. You got it. We back, Willie. So you were saying,
yeah, I'm here now.
Okay, you can continue.
I was just saying that Kjet back in the day was the what you would call the Facebook. Well, we were the media for the blacks, and the blacks being 33 1/3 of the population, and there was about 16 other radio stations in the market. We were always number one because of the numbers. So we had our audience. We competed with KYC and the others, but we didn't compete with them. They waited for us to sign off so they could become the number one. We also had a thing here in Beaumont. The studio was in Port Arthur. KJC, Danny would know about this. It's called KJC TV. And they used to do what was known as Jive at 5 on Friday afternoons. And the Kjet disc jockeys were the host each week.
That's right.
It was done. Boy John was the host. And then Jim Saxon, but used the disc jockeys to pull the schools in. And we would go on. And personally, myself, I was a dancer back then. would do all the latest, the Hitchhike, 7 Up, all that stuff. I was up on it. Now I can barely walk, so I got to do the stroll now. But anyway, it was fun back in the day. I thoroughly enjoyed myself, and I thank God for the things that happened to me because it possibly made me the man that I am today. And I know Tony went as far as to tell you guys that I was a non-drinker. I don't know what term to use. I was one of those guys that was, I knew when to play, when not to play, what to say and what not to say. But it's meant everything to me. I'm 19. I'll be 20 June 2nd, and I'm still learning.
One of the good things about Kjet, and one of the things that I think really made it work, the cultural difference between our people and white people and the type of music and stuff that they listen to. We had our own entertainers, our own style, and our own culture was really expressed on KJet radio, which was very good. Otherwise,
Exactly.
if you didn't listen to that, you had cowboy music to listen to, which it's good. I call it goat roping cowboy, and it's good music that these guys play, but it wasn't in tune with what our culture liked. And fortunately, the other cultures began to like what we play, and they really got into what we were doing because we had KJet to broadcast this type of stuff. Otherwise, we would have been tied into what they had to play. That was one radio station out of somewhere in Texas, Del Rio, out of Del Rio, Texas. And this radio
Nashville.
station, you could hear it all
Nashville.
over. You remember that station, Willie? And
was it WLAC in Nashville, Tennessee?
No.
That played blues, played rock and roll.
Del Rio, Texas, in the valley somewhere. And it was one of the only other radio stations that really played a variety it was one of those radio stations that came on at night. See, KJet signed off at dusk to dawn. When KJet went off, usually about 10, 11 o'clock at night, there were people from this radio station down in the valley that would also play the type of music that we like to listen to. And it was so few places that our culture was expressed. And thanks to KJet, in our area, we had it, and we all of us almost exclusively listened to KJet. And the people who sold products and in the area, the stores and stuff, they knew that, and they bought advertising time on KJet. And Willie was a part of selling advertisement, I'm about sure, and doing ads like anybody in radio. That's a good source for the community as far as let people know what products are available and what's going on within the town. I give these guys who are media personalities a lot of credit. They do a lot of good for the community. They do a very, very good service to the community, and other services I've seen them do recently, like doing hurricanes and storm jobs, keeping people informed about safety and places to go and what to do and things like that. KJet was all a part of that. And Mr. Renfro, you're a part of that right now. You're doing those type of things.
Yeah, it made a big old round circle. Did I come here around?
Yes, sir.
Right. But we're talking 45 years ago that I think, Willie, I left in 77 and you left when?
KJet, 1977, yes. October 77.
Right. So we.
But then what happened after that? Do you know what happened after that?
No, I left.
KJet had to close up because they got rid of the people that was keeping it on.
Right.
I mean, the owner had other plans. Sister well, I don't want to use the term, but he was one of those horses behinds, and
But
he
would you
lost
tell
his
them
advertisers. He ended up having to get rid of the business. It just
right,
froze him out.
right? And see when you
He
look when
wasn't
he
right. We'll put it like that.
right when we left, and he lost all the personality of the station. But tell them this,
Personality and listeners. I mean,
right, right. So tell them about the time that you bought my first car indirectly.
your first
But yeah,
car.
yeah. See, Willie was
Was
a
that
union, and he
that the
sued.
Corvo?
Huh?
Were you talking
sued?
about bought the car from you with the dealership?
Well, no, we got you won that case, and everybody got paid, but Willie.
I won. Yeah, y'all, you guys got money. Yeah. Well, that was the case where I filed a discrimination suit against Kjet, and everybody got money but myself and a couple other guys that were too stubborn to kind of go along with it because we had unionized, and Gibson did not want a union in there. I ended up being the only thing after Boy Brown got hurt in '72, and your father-in-law left in 69, 60 and 70. King Arthur left in around 69, and that left me there naked by myself. And I was fighting Gibson and the union. And so finally I fought them for 8 years, and it ended up with me being dismissed. And I filed a discrimination lawsuit against KJ. I also filed, I refused to sell what is called a performance clause. Everybody who came to work for KJ, they had to sign a performance clause saying that they would not take a job within a 100-mile radius with KJ. I would not sign that clause. So all of that went against me. So eventually it all evolved from 77 till 79. Gibson ended up losing everything and he lost a radio station. I mean, he bought that station for around $46,000, and eventually he sold it for around $2.5 million. It was worth more than that from different times, but he didn't sell at that time. But he ended up selling it for about $2.5 million, which is a heck of an investment for him to buy at one price, sell at the high. It was a lot of stuff that went on. But Tony, yeah, you got money. Boogie Belton got money. Everybody got money. About 16 of you got money, except myself and 2 or 3 other guys at the station that would not support me in my unionization. I'm not going to call their names, but anyway, you guys know them.
Well,
so it ended up like that. To me, it was well fitted for them because they refused to support me as a union steward.
And it's so crazy is that back then I didn't know what a union was. You got to remember, I was 13, 14.
You were too young for the union when we joined.
Yeah, I didn't know what when you talk about union, we go meet and have a meeting. I thought we were just having meetings. I didn't know what those meetings were. And and Willie was like he was like Martin Luther King. He was just pounding on it, pounding. And Willie, and next thing I know, I get a check. Yeah, I get a check. I said, this is more money I made all these 2 years. So I went and bought me a car.
Yeah.
Yep, unions have always been good for people who chose to participate in them.
Yeah.
People who group together can get things like insurance and all sorts of benefits. They can bargain for these benefits to help them. And Willie did the right thing. When unions work, people profit, and the companies profit too. They won't tell you that, but they do.
Well, let me tell you this: in radio, I'm like you, Willie. I want to do a tribute to you tonight, along with those that are associated with you, because you meant so much to so many people over those years, and we have not forgotten about you. And I wanted to make sure that you get your prop while you're still living. And because everyone else gone. And we didn't have this type of technology back then that we have now. And I want to let the Golden Triangle, Southeast Texas, to know that that you are still here, and God bless you, and you're still able to function, and you got your right mind, and you've done so much for the community that you really didn't know that you was doing back in the day. And I would have never gotten into radio if it wasn't for you and Boy and Cal. You guys was my role models. Some of them was my wrong role model, but they was my role models. And
Yeah.
and back then the day, even though you were young, you was in you was a gentleman in what you did. You was a professional. You did everything by professional. You didn't drink. You didn't smoke. And if you did your dirt, you didn't do it in front of me. You know.
Still
And,
don't. Still don't,
yeah,
Tony.
yeah, I know. I'm just. This is true. This is the real deal. I have never told him this, but
Yeah.
I paid attention to what he was doing, but I wouldn't pay attention to what he was doing. I had to do my thing. But I had so much fun. I learned so much. I learned personality. I learned about people. I learned early in life as a teenager because these guys was 20, 25 years older than I was. So uh, they were my role models. They was that man figure that I needed to as a growing young man. And I knew how business ran, and they taught me that. They showed me that because that time we had to do it on our own. We had a boss, we had an owner that was prejudiced, and it taught us how to deal with, and it taught me how to deal with a person like that. When he said about Gibson owned 2 radio stations, one in Tyler, one in Beaumont. He didn't care nothing about us.
On 4. 2 in Beaumont, 2 in Tyler.
Yeah, 2 in Tyler.
2.
Yeah, right.
2
He
in
didn't
Tyler
care
and 2 in Beaumont.
Right. He didn't care anything about us. All he cared about the bottom dollar. He didn't care a damn about us. And it taught me as I grew up that how to deal with people like that. And again, this is why I always say, when we was working for the man, I say right now today, people, if you're listening, watch, do your thing, walk out in your dreams, step out there and get your own, because it was a racial discrimination back then, and it still is today. And I ask that you pay attention because we come a long ways, but we still got a long ways to go. And
we'll make it. Tony, before we leave, I'd just like to say that the young man sitting to your left, there's a group that he's affiliated with, and they were the first ones about 3 years ago to adopt me as their Danny. What do you guys call me in Port Arthur, man? What is that name you guys gave me so that you wouldn't go on without me? I know it's the Alfred group, but there's you and Nitty. I appreciate everything and all the things that you guys have also said about me and the things that you are doing. I know y'all have plans. I've been told, hey, we have plans, so don't go nowhere and be available to us. But anyway, I just want to recognize you, and I want to ask you also, how is Nettie doing? I thought she was going to join the podcast too.
Well, she has been doing well. Nellie Gobert Batten is not only my cousin, but my godmother. And Nellie was one of those people, she's 12 years older than I. And so, in growing up, there were always, Nellie is the same age as my sister. And so Kjet was it. So when I think about, you and Kjet and all of your peers at that time, and when you're sort of thinking about, we talked about so many different eras, just crossing from the 50s through the 70s, and I was just thinking how many of my favorite songs, my favorite records that I still have to this day, first time I heard was on Kjet. And so the memory of those songs just take me right back to that radio station. And I can remember sitting on my front porch as an 8-year-old waiting to hear We're a Winner by, the Impressions, Curtis Mayfield. That was the tune. And so that to me is linked also to March of '68 when King was killed. So it's all of the music and the history and the moments are all inextricably linked. And so we have to honor you, Mr. Knighton, and Kjet, because you were the genesis for us in that community, there was nowhere else for us to go to. And as Tony Renfro said, Mr. Lynn here, that that was the go-to. And I know that all of us Black kids were listening to you, but I also know Johnny and Edgar Winter were listening to you, and I know Janis Joplin was listening to you, because one of the first tunes she recorded was Take a Piece of My Heart after Irma Franklin, and she also did Garnet Bim's Cry Baby. So I know that influence and that reach, it crossed out, and those kids were listening to music that their parents didn't know they were listening to. They had that radio in their bed at night. So
they did.
Hey. But Tony, I don't want to show a lot of things. I sit in and talk for years about KJ and things of that nature. But I don't know how long your program is, but I'm gonna shut up. I'm gonna sit back and shut up.
No, you can
and let somebody else say something.
No. This is your deal. We're gonna be here an hour and a half, and we've got 30 more minutes, and this is your deal. This is the tribute to you in honor of you. And we've got a lot of people watching, because I'm looking at the comments in the comment box and how great, how they think of you. Like Alice Ramsey is on here right now. She's saying Willie K and Bar Brown made K-Jet Radio.
Exactly.
And she said thank you so much for looking out. Y'all looked out for her when she was at KLVI back in the day. And I remember that too. And I remember when Alice was on television as well, one of the first Black women in television. So, Willie, you was a guy.
She did news at KJet, Tony. She did a little news at KJet also.
Yeah, okay? She
did a little news at KJet.
Right.
Alice Ramsey, Alice. Let's just shout out. Let me call a few names out that maybe some of you may remember. Okay, the original Jocks, as you said, was Boy Brown, Sugarthroat Miller, Whitney Nelson. Prior to that was Lynn's father, Leo Simon, and Whitney Nelson were the other two. After that, I came along in '54 with Boy Brown and Sugarthroat Miller. Okay, then there's guys that came through the radio station. You had Buddy Bodollar, which his name was Cecil Ayers. You had Dizzy Lizzy did a week or two at the station. You had Clarence Garlow, the guys that did the FM, Duke McCoy, John Boy, and
Bill Harris.
Think the guy from Luke had a tune. There's just so many of them, I can't remember all of them. That was Lloyd Jones, Ron Mathis. They were later at KJet in the 70s. Bob Collins came in 74, 73. It's just so many people, and I'm getting their name. It comes to me. But anyway, I've enjoyed and I've met so many nice folks when I was in radio and because of radio. And I just appreciate it. And I thank all of you for remembering the good times that we had. And in part, well, I'm going to say this and then I'm going to shut up. But when your father-in-law and I and Boy Brown, we had a saying back in the day. When we were coming along, we were so popular. Our thing is that, man, we are icons before our time. The word icon came along, and then we just, we were icons before our time. So that's the way we kind of viewed ourselves in the end, as icons of radio. And I appreciate everything, and I enjoyed everything, and I hope I live another 100 years. Well, another 19 anyway. So to be around and in the present, all the people that remember me, and we can reminisce. This has definitely been a pleasure, and I hope you get a lot of hits, Tony. And tell them, pretty girls, they can all still holler at me. I'm married, but it's okay for them to holler at me. I still like them pretty girls, man. I might probably beat crap out of it, but and you can't see that because Karen put something on you.
Really, don't get me in no trouble. I can't say what I want to say, but
no, I'm not gonna get you in no trouble.
But
I can't help it if the girls like me.
There we go. Here we go. Hey, but I'm telling you, Willie was a teenager in '59. He was a teenager in '69. And
right.
And he's still a teenager. I don't
Don't
know how
stop. Come
long
on.
he's gonna be a teenager, Willie.
What
I mean,
is that?
we gotta move to the side now.
Huh?
Let me get my part in there. But you know,
all of those girls, I think, no, they were known as, and listen to this, they were known as my campus cuties, high school beauties, steady teddies, late dates, and swinging Willie K-ites. I got them all. So you can just forget about trying to get in there, okay?
yeah, boy,
Belongs to me.
I remember that. Campus beauties and high school beauties. I remember that. I remember that. Boy, I tell you, it's been.
Okay.
And you just think
All
about
right.
it. We can still remember those things from way back then. Who- well, that's the subway. Is that you, Danny?
No.
No, that's a seed of heaven coming down to get us all and take us back.
Tony.
Like Coach
Tony, I want to ask you one thing. Who is the young man at the bottom on the right? I don't recognize him.
That's Glenn Dennis. He's with Danny. Yeah, Danny.
Yes, this is my
No, the young man at the bottom on the right. I can't recognize him.
That is Glenn Dennis.
Oh, he's with Danny. Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Hey, well, nice meeting you.
I'm just
Look forward to meeting you when Danny bring you down to Texas, man.
Again, I'm in Texas. I'm in Port Arthur.
Oh, he live New York. He live in New York City.
So,
Well, I still look forward to meeting you.
Yeah.
No, you have to meet me. You have to meet me again.
Oh, you're in Port Arthur.
Yes, sir.
Author, administrator of our Facebook KJET Cell Radio group. So yeah, he's very adept with the video footage.
Okay, we know each other, then, right?
Yeah, and so I just wanted to mention this, Tony Renfro, that Glenn and we all attended Wheatley with Leroy.
All right, that sounds like a winner. Then I will meet him again.
Yeah, so Glenn grew up on what was the name? Barbara Lane.
Yeah.
Barbara Lane. Tony Renfro, I just found out this evening, is related to Timothy and Leroy Antoine, and they were around the corner from you on Reba Drive.
Right.
So we all grew up together in Port Arthur listening to Kjet.
Yep.
May I ask a question, Tony?
Yes, go ahead. This
I want to ask you, Willie K here, because growing up, we would hear you on the radio, you would be spinning those records and tunes, but just listening from the conversation, it sounds like each person who was there, especially the personalities, the disc jockeys, you all wore many hats. You were selling advertising, you were playing the music. It seems like, did everyone have varied and different multi-roles at the station? Because as far as I knew, you were just the guys who were coming in. But it sounds like you all will actually selling ads and getting publicity and doing all of these other things as well. I would just be curious to know about some of the behind the scenes things that you all were doing that we didn't know about.
Like when he said he made more money when he wasn't at the station.
Don't you want me to answer that?
Yeah, he wants you to answer that. Yeah, do it the legal way, Will.
Danny, let me address that. Danny, okay, yeah, because Tony's off the cuff. Danny, what the way that went is that back in the day, we were strictly controlled by the FCC, Federal Communications Commission. You were things you could do, things you couldn't do. One of the things you couldn't do as a disc jockey was to sell advertisement and be paid by the client that's purchasing the advertisement. What you could do, you could be paid a talent. If a sponsor wanted you and you alone do their spots, or whoever they wanted to do it, they could pay you what is known as a talent. But we couldn't make money the way that that you mentioned it just then. You could not be a jock and sell. Either was a salesman all you was a radio personality back in the day. You could not only own but one radio station, one TV station, and one print ad back in the day. Now it's wide open.
Yeah.
What a lot of people don't know about Boy Brown, King Arthur, Cal Weaver, and myself, we are all members of what is called SAG. I know you see that on TV a lot during movies. Screen Actors Guild. Right under there, they'll have a backslash, and it'll say American Federation of Radio and TV Artists. And we were in that group. That was a group originally. Now they've added SAG to us, but we are all members of the after group, American Federation of Radio and Television Artists. So there were limited things as to what we could do and what we couldn't do. But one of those, we could not accept that money under the table because it was called PAYOLL, simply pronounced payola. Okay, and that was a federal offense. Payola. You guys know about that? You couldn't accept the money.
We couldn't accept the money. You're right. Yeah, that's right. We couldn't accept the money. Now we go to those conventions. My pocket was open. Okay, but this way, back in them
pocket
days,
is open, but you better not let the kids know about it.
Yeah, right. And and we would get audited. Where we remember Willie, they wanted to make sure that we wasn't getting payola, that we would have to log every song that we play and what we played. We'll get audited, and like if I paid James Brown payback, I have to write it down and the time I played it, and they'll come behind us and audit every day what we was doing. So it again, I was saying that behind the scene, you think that it was all freelance, but it was detailed because we was under the FCC, and we had to do those things
exactly
by law, or you get put behind bars. So the thing that I would do, because I was taught by the best. His name was Boy Brown.
Boy Brown, huh? Okay. All right.
He had tricks, so I learned those tricks. I knew what to do when I was away from that station. So we had a lot of fun. We made money, and I enjoyed just being out playing music. Willie would have the teenage dance wrapped up. I didn't have a chance. He had that Friday night wrapped up. When I come, I had to have Saturday night. They didn't spend all their money and dance all night long the night before. They can't come back for me. But Willie had that wrapped up all the way until 75, 76. Until they closed Charlton Pollard down in 76. That's when everything just kind of just started going away. And the radio station, the Gibson started getting rid of, and after the union settled with that settlement, it just kind of just went away. And when the jocks like Willie went away, and a few of us went away, the station went away. He lost the audience, he lost the listeners, he lost the advertisement, and that's the way that's the way KJ faded on away from us. Today,
let me ask you about something.
Yes.
Excuse me for interrupting, but I kind of wanted to know. Tootie Durso was a part of KJ Radio at one time. Was he? What time was he doing there?
Tootie was a Cal Weaver took Tootie under his guidance-ship. Tootie and Cal had a thing where Tootie would come after we sign off, and he and Cal would do certain things. Cal was teaching Tootie radio, so Cal was Tootie's protege or whatever you want to call it. He took a lot of lessons from Big Daddy Cal. Yeah, Tootie did.
Yeah,
and that's how Tony got into it. Incidentally, let's mention Gerald Loeb. Gerald Loeb did get into radio, he did gospel for a while, because I forgot about Brother Loeb. Loeb started as a janitor, but then he moved himself up to gospel announcer when King Arthur left, I think it was. He was a gospel announcer for a few years on Sundays. Gerald did gospel work. Yeah. Then that was Larry Joe Williams, who was a teenager
Yeah, what
from
about Larry?
Bowman
What about
High
Larry?
around 60s.
Yeah, what about Larry Joe Williams? Remember that? Remember Larry Joe Williams?
That's Larry came in there. Larry came to KJ as a part-timer, as a student part-timer around 1966 or 67.
Mm-hmm.
Then
Larry.
Larry did time also in the afternoon for my Solarama. Lee Calhoun did. You call it was board. You guys wrote the board for me. What that is that I'd had the action in the back. You were filling the commercials in.
Yeah.
It was strictly my show, the Solarama show.
Yeah, it was really a show, but we'll be on the board. We played the commercials.
It was a show, but I was Jock on the air.
Yeah, he was. And he'll allow us to have a couple of visitors every now and then. You couldn't do too much with Willie.
Did y'all mention
he wanted all the girls. I mean, I could just give me one or two. That's all I need.
Got them all. Had them all, Tony. Still got them wrapped
y'all
up.
mentioned Sterling Yale.
I'm not giving my girls up. I'm not giving them up. But if I could sit here and call, it's just a host of young ladies that came through KJet that we had a lot of fun with on Sunday afternoon and at the teenage dances. And I'll run across some of them every now and then. They'll say, "Oh, Mr. Knighton." They call me Mr. Knighton or Willie K. You still look the same. Yeah, I got to stay fine and sexy like I am because you won't like me no more. Hey, we have our laughs and going on about but it's all in fun. Love them girls, though. Girls. Yeah. You remember that tune?
Yeah.
All right, then.
Right. But I tell you, it's.
Let me ask this: Did y'all mention Sterling Yale and Earl Belton?
I did. Sterling Yale, Sugarfoot Miller. Huh?
Yeah, Sugarfoot, Sterling Yale, Earl Belton.
Yeah, everybody.
I mentioned Earl.
You mentioned Earl
and Sterling Yale.
Yeah.
Sterling Yale was a whale of a job. All those guys that I worked with on a regular basis at KJet, they were some phenomenal jocks, man. I worked with the best, I would say, starting with Boy Brown, Whitney Nelson, Cal Weaver. I couldn't have asked for anybody better to show me the ropes that I didn't know. And you learn something from all of them because we all had our personalities.
Mm-hmm. Everybody had their own personality. You are absolutely correct. Exactly. Hey, well, let me show you this why we're doing this. Let me see if you guys remember this. This is a teenager back in the day. How about that? Really, you see that?
I know. I'm looking for it.
It's on the screen. You see
it's on the freeze?
It's on the right. How old were you at that time? Now, don't tell me 19.
You talking on the right?
No, it's on the screen.
On the right side?
You guys can see the screen, the picture on the screen? Let's see here.
I see the screen.
Okay, that's a picture on the screen.
I see 6 people on there.
Well, wait a minute. Hold on. Wait a minute.
No, I
don't see it, Tony.
Huh?
We can see it.
You can see it? I don't know. He can't see.
I don't know why you don't see it. We see it.
I don't see it. I'm like Ray Charles. I'm blind.
Right. Wait a minute. Now, you don't see it.
I don't see it, Tony. I see pictures on the screen.
All
2
right.
of them, me and the other 4 guys.
Wait a minute.
I've got 4 guys.
I'll do this then. You see that picture right there on the screen now?
Which one?
You.
I see you. Yeah.
Oh, something will be wrong with your signals. Everybody can see that's you back in the day when you were maybe about 20 years old. You weren't 19.
Oh no, I don't. No, I don't see that one.
This document, I got pictures of you.
Turntable?
Yeah, I have some
Is
pictures
that the one
of
behind the turntable?
Yeah, around the turntable. Yes.
No, I don't see that, but I have photos of that, but I don't see it on the screen.
Okay, well, let me ask you this. Do you happen to know this guy here. Remember that guy there?
Which one?
Uh-oh. You
I
don't see that screen?
I don't know where you.
The guy in the
I don't see it, Tony.
with the headset. I guess that was me when I was, what, 16, 17 years old? Behind the board and I had doing a dance.
No, I don't see it.
You don't see it either? Okay, well, I'm going to bring it all back
I don't
on the
see
screen.
it. You don't have it on the screen.
Okay, I'm going to bring it all back on the screen. That was you and I back in the day when we was in the studios. The pictures are black and white.
Is that the one while in my school annual? Tony? Tony?
Yes, I'm
Is
here.
that the one in the school annual where they call me the teenage disc jockey?
Yes, that's it.
Because I don't see it.
Yeah, I've taken it down.
I don't see it, Tony.
I don't know why. Y'all saw it, right, guys?
Yeah.
I'm gonna see it. I'm gonna put it up again. See if you can see it again.
Lynn, did you see it, Lynn?
Yeah, I see it fine.
I don't see it.
You
guys talking about me?
Yeah, you. I'm looking at you. Yes, you. I can see you.
Yeah. I see that. You said back in the day.
No. I'm looking at you.
I don't see nothing as back in the day.
Yeah, that's you back in the day. I guess you back in you maybe 19. You was a teenager then. I guess you was about
still
30.
A teenager.
All right.
Oh, I haven't made 30 yet, Tony. I'm working on it.
Yeah,
I'm working on it.
I know. Okay. Well,
okay.
It's been that
really, I'll tell my age to all of you guys on the show tonight. I am 82 years old. I will be 83 June the 2nd. Sound mind, fine behind, as the girls would say. Got everything going for me. Tony, I want you to tell the girls this. I can do it without you, but I do it so much better when we do it together. That's what I tell the girls, okay?
You've been telling them that for the last.
You
have. You still got it, Willie. You still got it. Just make sure you keep your wallet in your pocket now.
Hey, I'm always have it, Tony. I'm always have it, okay? You said it's only in my pocket. Oh, all right.
Yeah, man, it's been fun. It's been fun. Thank you so much, giving the time. Bonnie has just she just got off her gig, and she wanted to tell you hello. Let's see, where is she? Where's Bonnie?
Do that. I talk with her
today. Bonnie Brown asked. Also, Esther England said hello, and that's all your relatives there, really. Willie and I are
that's
relatives.
all of them.
Yeah, no, you got quite a few.
Yeah,
so
we're relatives.
Yeah, we're now relatives. So if they kin to me, they kin to him. If they kin to him, they kin to me.
There you go.
Even the ladies. By the way, guys, I appreciate you and Danny and Glenn and Simon. I thank you so much for this opportunity to give Willie his honor and his prop for the time he has been here and dedicated his life, this early life, to the community of Southeast Texas. And Willie, thank you so much. And I like if you do have any closing words, Mr. Simon.
Yes, Willie, man, look, we thank you. You've done a good service for our community. You've got to know a lot of good people in the process, and you've always been a guy that's willing to share and help people as long as I've known you. And I've known you since Chocolate Parlor days. And man, look, may you continue to do well in your life. May the Lord bless you and your family. You're okay.
Hey, well, before I move to Danny now, you say you and Willie come out of Charlton Poly. Y'all was on Grant Street, right? Not on Carroll, right?
No, well, Willie might have spent some time on Grant Street, but I was on Carroll Street, and he was too, weren't you? Didn't you spend some time on Carroll?
I spent some time on Carroll Street, but I also spent some time at Charlton Pollard on Grant and then Charlton Pollard on Carroll.
Oh, so you
I
graduated
covered all
on
the
Carroll
schools.
Street, yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah.
I graduated
Hey,
on Carroll, correct.
Hey, look, my mother taught first grade over there at the Charlton Pollard on Grant Street.
Well, I'm sure
Her name was Bernice Simon. Did you by any chance be in her first grade class?
I probably was, Lynn. No, maybe first grade. I was at Pipkin.
You at Pipkin.
You
Okay,
remember
Miss
Pipkin?
Brogan got you back then.
Oh, they were the smart student
Yeah.
went to Pitt.
Yeah.
Yeah. Danny, last word.
Yeah, thank you, Tony Riffo, for hosting this evening, and thank you, Willie Knighton, Willie K, for just being part of our my childhood anyway, experience, inextricably linked to Port Arthur. You were and remain the voice of so much music and memories and community service, and it's just an honor to even be here and chatting with you all and seeing you here this evening. And thank you for your generosity, your professionalism.
You know, Willie, you was all over. You was all over. You was in Port Arthur. You was in Orange, and you was in Brick City,
Liberty, Dayton, Raywood, Hancomer, Salt Lake, Anahuac. Hey, I covered the territory out there.
You covered the territory, son. I tell you, to say,
I was an all-around man.
That's right. And well, I'm not going to even go that way. I was going to say, you made your rounds because I met a lot of Knightons.
Oh yeah, it's just a bunch of Knightons out there.
Yeah, I know.
I'm not responsible for all of it. There are a lot of them out there.
Right. You made your busload. So Glenn, thank you so much for joining in.
Look, you remember the Boy Brown's saying that he had many years ago? Boy Brown had a saying. He would say, look, when he would sign off, he would say, look, gotta go, bye-bye, take care. But he say, if anything turns up and it cries, spank it and name it after me. So I'll take all of that, okay? I'll take it all right.
I remember that.
Yeah. Mr. Denny Gilman, Denny Gilmore, is that right? Denny, I'm looking forward to meeting you, man. I'm in Port Arthur every now and then. If you ever see me over there, just tell me who you are and I'll remember, okay?
All right.
And
talking
also,
about Denny.
Yeah, all right.
Denny down at the bottom, Denny Gilmore.
Right.
Denny Glenn, okay. Denny, I look forward to meeting you again in person, man.
Mm-hmm.
And get a shout out, Danny, to your group as well, too.
Yes, we shopped at Alford's Supermarket and listened to KJET Soul Radio. Basically, we're an online living room for our community history experience and reconnecting with folks from our past and making it our present and future.
Well, you can find, we shopped at Alford's Supermarket and listening to KJET Soul Radio on Facebook. They have their own page and a great page. You can see some things they've posted from back in the day, from the 60s and high school graduate, senior pictures, coaching staff, the faculty. It's so much, and I admire you guys for doing that because I'm not from Port Arthur, but I somehow, some way there was some connection there with us that I got the chance to meet a lot of those people there and knew them by being in radio and also in the business that I am in, and that's the automobile business. So I've sold quite a few of those people and met them. They became family, and so it goes round and round and round. So I made a big circle, and I'm here back. Like I feel like I'm back on the air again because I'm right back to what I was doing 50 years ago. So Willie, it's so much, man. I had to do this. I just want to make sure that I got a chance to do this with you. And also, if you'd like to take this show and make it public or make it to yourself, you can go to YouTube and you can download off of YouTube or share it from a YouTube any way you want to share it, make it public, make it and save it to yourself. And I'm also on Facebook at Knowledge is Power Podcast Live. and also on Tweet. So if you're watching the show tonight, thank you, folks. Share it. If you like it, share it with everybody. Come back again. We're here every Sunday and Tuesday evening. And make it your chance to watch us at Knowledge is Power Podcast Live. And before we go, I like to make an announcement. I like to make sure that we know about, and I did not download it. I did not. I thought I did. Yeah, save the date for, that's right. Joe Madison is going to be the guest speaker at the Beaumont NAACP Freedom Fund Banquet. And the theme is Are You Woke? That's on December 18th at the Beaumont Civic Center. And for tickets, you can call 842-0294 between 11 a.m. and 3 p.m. Or you can email the Beaumont NAACP at hotmail.com. That's BMT at hotmail.com. Again, guys, thank you so much. I enjoyed it. Like you say, Willie, we can talk about Kjet and all the good old days. We missed a whole lot. We really want to talk. We could have talked about for about 4 or 5 hours all night. But I thank you again for everything.
Thank you.
Oh yeah.
Thank you, guys.
Thank you, Tony, for remembering. And also, Danny, tell my Port Arthur love Alford Supermarket Group. They're still in my heart, okay? Danny, did you get me? Tell my Port Arthur, my Alford Supermarket Group, I still love them.
Oh,
Tony,
yeah.
I appreciate everything. Thank you guys for participating. Dennis, Mr. Simon, I see when you're older than me, I call you Mr. Lynn Simon and Mr. Tony Renfro. You guys take care. It's been a pleasure. Now I guess I'll go drink me some Boone's Farm wine, and I don't even drink.
Well, I know you go get that almond milk. All right. Guys, thank you so much. God bless you. Thank you, guys. People, we see you back on Tuesday. Thank you.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.